as a community, skaters are some of the most funniest, most resilient and generous people that you will ever meet. And Days of Summer, your project was photographed or pictured around Gangtok's own skate crew. So I'd like details about your process doing a documentary project like this. Even though you are you're a local, you have to still earn their trust because they're a community that's not your own community. So could you just tell me a little bit about the process? And as you're talking about it, I'll move through some of the images. And if you see anything you'd like to talk about, you can let me know. First, you can just tell me about the project itself.
Yeah, the project started like soon after I came from Angkor Photo Workshop, and I wanted to continue doing some story in Sikkim. So the skateboarding scene was started by a friend. He's more like a brother.
Right.
So he started the scene, and there were a lot of kids coming in this particular place in the terrace, and they were like learning skating, and so, and also there were a lot of people who were into drugs, and it was a place where they could come and like get away from a little bit of drugs, and also coming to drugs, there's a lot of problem in that area in Sikkim.
Right.
So this particular place kind of became for a lot of youth to come and practice skateboarding, not only like practice sport, but also to like become a community and be together and talk. It's kind of nicer feeling when you see them. So I felt quite interested in them because I also felt kind of connection to my own youth growing up in my school days. I was kind of feel like I was also like them. I mean, I had my share of the things that I did in school.
Right.
Don't want to go personal about it, but
yeah.
So I felt kind of connection to this place and the people, the kids, the youth that they were in a similar situation, because they were also facing a lot of problems from the cops and the people there. Because this is regarded as like a nuisance sport and making a lot of noise. What are these? The locally called Bhattus type. The Bhattus is like the people who are really involved in like drugs, doing bad stuff.
Right.
Which is not the case. These are like school kids and they're doing what they really love. So through this project, I wanted to show that, they talk about the scenario of youth in Sikkim.
Right.
And right now, currently, it started out with the skateboarding project. Not skateboarding actually, but people who are practicing skateboarding. But right now, I'm currently thinking of expanding this project and not only focus on skateboarding. Okay. I generally want to talk about the youth and so basically photograph the youth in Sikkim. So
that's
through the people
right,
who are and not generally talk about skateboarding. So because
it's just one.
Because the project is not about
And you see how it's very DIY. Everything is do it yourself. They've just found things.
So they're quite interesting stuff. I mean, these are not accessible to people, and they made it themselves.
So tell me a little bit about this young man.
He studies in a college,
right?
And he stays nearby. I don't know. I mean, I've forgotten his name. And I've written. A lot of people in the group.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, so
he's a college kid from nearby.
Yeah, he's a college kid, but I think he's finished now. I think he finished his college now.
Okay.
So he's part of the group, and he stays nearby.
Okay, this fellow looks very young. This chap looks very
young. He's one of the youngest actually in the group, but he has stopped coming. I think recently. I haven't seen him practicing a lot. Coming to the place, but most of the people are from nearby the area where the terrace is, where they practice.
Do their families mind stop them from skateboarding, or they're okay with it? Do you think?
not exactly. But people, I mean, the parents say that it's very dangerous sport. I mean, you can break your leg. You can do something.
Right.
So don't do that.
He has a very interesting story. I remember reading about him.
Yeah, he's. I mean, Sanjay. We call him Sanjay, and he's a kid who has facing addiction and somehow the group name is Skate Connect. Somehow the group has been a place for him to go every day and practice skate and get mind of the drug and all the stuff.
Right. And by drugs you mean things like brown sugar and things like that?
No, not exactly. Pharmaceutical drugs.
Okay, pharmaceuticals.
Which is like very prevalent in the hills.
Okay. So pills and things of that kind.
Yeah, pills, mostly pills.
Right.
But I mean, so the community has become very, become a place for him to go there and not do this anymore and get his mind out of the stuff.
These are two girls who are part of the group, I think.
Yeah. I think if you click on it, I think you get some captions as well. No? I don't know.
Oh.
I think I removed it.
Okay, it's fine.
There was actually that caption. Everything is there. Yeah.
So, and this is the terrace where they practice and meet.
Yeah.
So you can see it's a pretty large crowd of people who meet up for sure.
There are a lot of. I mean, the urban suburban culture is quite growing up in Sikkim. So this is what I want to talk about, the urban culture.
Right. And during the course of this project, you also had some help from Kevin Lee of Invisible Photographer Asia. I think you had submitted a selection of this work to him. And he was talking about how he was he said he found like maybe there were two kinds of looks, where they're bright hues and meditative images with a lot of skyscapes, and others where they're snapshots with dark colors and confined spaces. So how useful is this kind of specific feedback in the course of your growth as an image maker, as a narrative weaver, as someone who's trying to put a long-term project together? And when do you know, talking a little specifically, when do you know that the feeling of a tone is right for your voice?
So the photographs, so actually the Kevin Lee thing was he started giving free editing session to people. So I was one of them to send him my work. So he did some editing and he gave me some feedback, which you read just now.
Right.
So he was quite correct, when he talked about two sets of images, which I also felt, because there's a sense of photographing the whole series. So there's a set of images which has a slower approach. The portraits, this is like mostly like a lot of portraits. I can also say that I was focusing more on portraits as well on the series.
Okay.
So there's a kind of a slower approach in the whole work, and not like a snapshot kind of photographs, which I think I mixed it up in these images.
Right.
So there are like a lot of snapshot kind of images here and there.
Right.
So I think which he is talking about.
Keeping the consistency.
And that's the difference. And
you can see
talking about I think this is the edit. No? Yeah, that's the edit. So he killed a lot of my important images,
which is hard, right? So, when you work for many years on something, and for a long period of time, each image becomes like a child, and then it feels like you're killing a child to you have a favorite child or something.
Yeah, because sometimes it doesn't work at all because I'm thinking of making this into I'm working like that only to make it into a book.
Right.
Hopefully, I'll be able to.
I'm sure you will. Yeah.
Huge thing. So when you talk about that two sets of images, how do you know?
Right.
I think in certain point of time, you keep going back to images, you keep editing certain work, right? There needs to be a flow. There needs to be like one image to the next image. There has to be some kind of it's like watching a film, like a good film.
Right.
There's no different kind of ways of shooting. It's like it's the same way, like the thing flows like all together. So I think even in images, I think the color correction, the tone of the images, and the way it has been shot, I think it has to go with the flow. So yeah.
So you just, so you just, when it feels right to you, you stick to that tone and that approach, and then you try and sort of ensure that your future images also sort of come under that similar kind of a tonality and look, aesthetic look, whatever you want to call it. Not just tones, and tones are one aspect, but I mean like an aesthetic.
Yeah. I think it'll take some time to get that hang also. Because even this, like the way I shot it, I think if I was doing this project 2 years back, I would have shot it in a different way. I would have shot it in like the Bongsu style, like a snapshot kind of way.
Right.
But as an artist, I have changed. I have learned so much, and there's certain things I've learned about myself.
Yeah.
And and the thing that I wanted to say, through images. And this whole work right now, it's more of like, also me, like, it's my, like the tone itself is like me, like there's some kind of a little bit of me as well. It's not about just about the people that I'm photographing and what I learned from them, but it's also, there's a sense of me in it. Yeah, and I think that, I can't say like how will you learn it, but I think as an artist, you know it by yourself in due time.
And something, I guess it's a feeling when it feels right and it feels like it reflects you more as a person, then you can sort of move ahead with that or explore
definitely.
it more. Project Frontier Pass, which is a bigger, seems to be a larger project, is a long-term collaborative project on the borderlines of the northeast of India. Could you please share what this project is about and how it has been like working with a researcher? So you're doing the images, and another person who's writing, doing the research. So what is that like? What is that process like to collaborate? I mean, first
it's been exciting. Yeah, it's been very exciting, but very difficult to get this forward. Difficulty in the sense to get this project further, because anyways, I'll come to that later. I'll just talk about the starting. So I met my friend name is Anand Damodar. He's from South India. He's from Kerala. Right now he's in Hyderabad.
Okay.
So he's stuck basically because of lockdown. Yeah. And so we met. We met long time back in 2011, I think, in Shillong.
Okay.
Shillong, we like he was traveling and I was traveling. At that time, I just picked up photography and I wanted to travel and like for all the stuff. So we met in Shillong in a place called Naungi Hut.
Right.
In the living root-based place. So we were staying in a guest house, and at night around 1 o'clock, the whole guest house started like burning with fire.
Oh my God!
So
okay.
I opened the door, and like the whole fire came inside the room, and the thing was like that. So somehow we all survived that night.
Okay.
So thankfully, that was the second incident I like faced face to face with, like survived. Wow. So I met him there, and like we made like good rapport, and we started talking about his work and all the stuff. We got to know him. He was doing his research on South Asia borderlands. His like research was on thesis was on international borders and all the stuff.
Okay.
So I also had like I wanted to like do learn and travel and do all the stories.
Yeah.
So after a few years, we met again in Zero and Arunachal, and we decided to travel together to a place called Dibang Valley.
Okay.
So we said, okay, let's try to do one story here. So
which is now in the news for this thing, right? Even there's a hydroelectric project coming up, major construction.
Yeah. It's one of the biggest hydro projects I think will be made if it ever gets sanctioned there. It's a beautiful place. It's like sparsely populated,
right?
Very less people,
right?
And the amount of damage that will do after the hydro project comes, I think will be like huge. So, anyways, yeah. So, and we went there. So we tried to do a story, but we just went and traveled there. Nice place. We went on a bike ride. So came back. So after many months, we decided to do like let's do something. We can do walk together. So after a few iterations, this whole thing of frontier pass came up.
Yeah.
So frontier pass is usually like the pass that you get earlier times when you cross different frontiers, right?
Okay.
So earlier it was frontier. There were no borders. It was frontiers geographically. So the frontier place came. He basically, my friend gave the name, so I spoke to it, and we started with this project. So it was actually not the Northeast, but Northeast was which I was like close to. Right. So we started with the Northeast.
Okay.
So we decided to let's we'll research on the area. There are certain stories that we need to do. Yeah. So we went there and started to document. And the first story was Nepal Sikkim border. The festival which happens every year at the border. So this
that's a beautiful
bountiful borderland. So it's quite interesting. I didn't know that, but it's a trekking place for people, trekkers, to go and see the Mt.Kanchendzonga. Right. But every year during Nepali New Year, not the Nepal New Year, Yeah. So a lot of people from Nepal come to this place at the no man's land and set up a festival kind of scene there, and the people from Sikkim also come. And there are a lot of connections. There are families at the other side as well. Like, we walked all the way to the villages. There's a place called Changthapu. We went there. We talked to people. So people know from the other side of the place. I've been there and I've done that. My niece is there. Something like that. Right. And there has been intermarriages, all the stuff. So this particular series is just right now. It's just the festival. The festival that happened in the no man's land. And yeah, it's quite interesting. People dress up, like it's a new year. I mean, people dress up, neat and clean. They come all the way up. There's a road. You can see the road. This is a road in Nepal. This is the road in Nepal. Right. Yeah. So road is all like that, all the way to the villages, and it's very difficult for even the cars to come up. And the road ends at the and the road ends here in the no man's land. But from here, we have to walk almost 4 hours to the road in Sikkim.
Oh wow! Okay.
So initially, that the two roads were supposed to meet here for some more trade and commerce and whatever economic reasons. But somehow there was a contractor who didn't do his job well, and the road didn't get completed, and the road is like now just like abandoned right now. It's just like this right now. Okay. So this was the first story, and yeah.
So this is going to be a longer project that keeps going on, and this thing.
Yeah, I'm thinking of expanding the story, but I don't know. I mean, it's like the funding right now, and because we did 3 stories actually. Like 2 stories are here, and 1 story is all the 3 stories are in Instagram, in the Frontier Pass page.
Okay.
It becomes difficult for in terms of sustaining. Because we did this project in our own money, and
it is very hard. I mean, it's very hard if you have your own like a personal project that you'd like to work on slowly. Slow journalism isn't rewarded too much.
No, it's very difficult. So kind of stuck right now. We're still ideating on what we can do, But I think we'll work on it this year or something. But again, this project is like near to Burmese border.
Sure.
There's a village called Laju, and a lot of sponsor villages nearby. And this place has been like under AFSPA for many years, and there's a lot of tension between the people, the militants, the army. So the same story, like northeast borders, right? A lot of so
same issues everywhere.
Yeah.
And so, could you tell me how you approach your personal projects in comparison to your documentary projects? Because now I'm just showing people one of your personal projects, Myallyang, which is, I guess, in Zongu, if I'm not wrong, or is it based around Zongu or not Sikkim, or is it just
the language? It's actually Zongo. Yeah. So I think most of the projects are personal itself, except for Frontier Pass and more of like very documentary oriented, research oriented. Right. But coming to like the home by the river and the days of summer, it's very personal because it's kind of I think more personal for me.
Okay.
But this particular series, Myallyang, I really wanted to go to this. I really wanted to, like, for a long time I wanted to go Zongo and be there and document, not document, but photograph and learn about the people there and
Right.
and also I told you earlier that my link with my Tibetan mom and my dad lived,
Yes.
dad is a lecturer. So two things, like I wanted to know more about my roots and where I came from, and because as for me as a lecturer, I don't feel as a lecturer because I don't know the ways of lecture, and there are a lot of things I need to learn. I don't know the language. It's like there's two languages my mom and dad speak. Both of the languages I don't know because I studied outside.
Okay.
It's like I'm in between. Sometimes it feels nice to not get attached, traditionally to like a lot of things.
Right.
But sometimes you also want to know, like, where did your mom came from? How was your mom like? And where is your as a lecturer, like how do you feel? So the Myallyang project, I took this photograph. I was working as a fixer for a photojournalist, and I knew that I'm going there, so I also take photographs, and because I already knew that I wanted to do work on this area.
Right.
So I took some photographs there, and which I knew that it'll be like good for me if I go further. So yeah, this is like still in progress, and I was thinking of going this year, but this whole lockdown thing has changed everything. So I don't know when I'll go there, and but if the lockdown gets over, then I'll go back to the place again and
continue the work.
Yeah, continue the work. I exactly haven't thought like this is what I'm gonna do, but it's mostly gonna work on the whole thing of Myallyang. What is Myallyang? Myallyang is like very spiritual place. How is it? Because like it's in a folk tale, right? Myallyang. It's like a Shangri-La.
Right.
So
and it's also
kind of work.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, kind of work on that, and the people, their connection to nature, and also talk about the hydel projects.
Right.
And yeah. So
and
let's see.
We have and also it's also Myallyang is also the name of the homestay of Gyatso Lepcha, who's also another activist, with hydroelectric projects. Another very interesting person that everyone should meet if they ever go up there. He's very knowledgeable about the region and what they are fighting for and why they are fighting. And fighting also is the wrong word. They are working towards it. Let's put it that way. No one is,
and they're doing a good job. I mean,
they are. It's very rare for native communities to fight for their lands and then for the state to back down and stop the development that is going to harm their lands.
Yeah, it's a huge achievement.
It's a huge achievement. Anywhere in the world, it's a huge achievement for sure. It's something that I like to read about a lot all over the world, and I've very rarely seen them succeed. So something that we can all learn from. Now, when you dive deep into a book, so we're shifting gears a little bit from your personal and documentary work more to your commissioned and commercial work. And when you're diving deep into a book like this project you've worked on on the crafts of Uttarakhand, how do you ensure that you are thorough in your planning, while also making sure that you're creating some sort of visual variety, because an entire book can't be filled with similar pictures. It'll get boring for the person who's viewing it. So how do you plan something like this? How do you make sure there's enough variety? Could you tell us a bit about
that? Just to give a brief intro on the project. The project was, not handled, but funded by UHSDC and Doon University, and taken up by the design agency called Chitku Design Studio in Uttarakhand. So I was hired as a photographer there. So, starting the project, this project is more of like research based. But also it's like there's a lot of research gone into this book.
Right.
but also visually wise, photograph that has been used. You can also say that it's kind of a photo book as well, both mixed together.
Right.
So coming to the working on, the photographs, we had a long discussion on this, and like we first what we decided was, like how do we see as a how do we see artisan?
Mm.
So especially the craft people working on the villages. So it's like a unsung hero, something like that, So we wanted to at least for all the different craft that we do, we need to take a portrait of the people there. If it's a group portrait, if it's a single portrait,
I mean, unfortunately,
there has to be a portrait.
The scan is a little small, but you can see that there are not only portraits but
Sure.
details of the work.
Oh, is it very small?
Yeah, it might have been.
Yeah,
it's probably my fault. For downloading it wrong. I must have done something wrong while downloading it. But you can also see that what Kunga is talking about, how they've focused on individual artisans as well, right?
Yeah. So there's a portrait. Portrait was a must because in terms of like a visual narrative as well, also because of how the story we want to tell in the book.
Right.
It shouldn't be like like text heavy also, because like if you read, people get boring.
Yeah,
might get boring. So and also research based, because even research you need photographs. How the techniques, like you see here, like the process of I'm forgetting the word. The spinning of the yarn, like making, so all the stuff, and I really like this image, how the ladies, just the ladies in the village sitting in the garden, and nice weather, they're just talking and working. So it was very nice. It's a huge, it was a lot of things I learned from this project. It was my first, I think, this kind of project I've taken, as a photographer, and I was very excited. It was very new to me as well.
Yeah, it looks very exciting as well. And it's out of your region, out of your state. So different culture maybe. And so, But I'm sure you found some similarities in the mountain because they're also from the mountain.
Yeah, very similar. Even the language, the Nepalese language, especially.
Right.
Towards the, not Garhwal, towards the Kumaon side, quite similar.
Okay. So, and, again, there are a lot of things that photographers and other creators, have to do to earn a living. We can't depend on our personal passion projects to make us money. So, so do you think that this is just okay? That this is just the way things are, so it's too bad, or do you think that there should be more opportunities for creative people in India to work on what they love without worrying about money too much? There are many countries, other countries, where the government, where artists are supported through government subsidies, through housing, sometimes through grants, where the government takes care of the artists and the artists are free to do their work. Do you think that they also should have some sort of things like that?
I don't know. I mean, it's like a very difficult question. Like, I can't speak for everyone. Like it's like I mean, from personal experience, I think coming the question, as far as in Sikkim, it's how it is, and you have to. If you don't do this commercial work, you won't have money. Because personal projects, there's no money in it. I mean, you have to put your money in it, Exactly. So if you don't do, as a photographer, if you don't do commercial projects, I think it's going to be very difficult. Because I know there's some. I bet like a lot of people, photographers. So I don't want to do weddings. Right. I also don't like doing weddings, but sometimes you have to do what you don't like,
yeah, exactly. And we all had to do what we don't like.
Yeah, I don't like weddings. I've like rejected a lot of weddings because, simple fact, they don't want to pay more.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of work, and even in editing, you have to do a lot of work.
Yes.
And in Sikkim, hardly a lot of people pay a lot of work. So I rejected a lot of because it doesn't make sense to put in a lot of effort.
So you've sort of used your skills as someone who's very good at photographing still life, someone who's good at landscapes and those kind of photos, and sort of combined it with commercial work that is viable and that can earn you money as well.
Yeah, I think it's good to not stick to one kind of visual, one kind of like, okay, I want to photograph my there's a sense, like, I feel like a lot of artists get stuck that way,
right?
Because you want to be this known for this kind of visuals,
right?
That's not necessary, I feel, because I mean I don't think it's not necessary, like always to do that.
Yeah. And we can express ourselves in so many different ways also. We don't need to be stuck in one way of expressing ourselves, I guess.
Yeah.
So
and yeah, coming back to like the thing about like surviving to all this commercial work,
right.
It's still not feasible. It's still like you get, sometimes there's no work at all for a month.
Right, of course.
Sometimes they're months. Sometimes they're like 2-3 months for they work in a month.
Yeah. And I don't know, the way I try and look at commercial work, or my commercial work, is also that it's another way to practice. I mean, it might not be what you choose to do, or it might not be your personal vision or project or whatever in that moment, but it's still a practice of photography. It's still a way to practice certain aspects. You can practice production, you can practice planning, also how to deal with different kinds of people. All these things, there's a lot of things you can learn from commercial work. Also to fill a brief, where you have a brief, you have to follow the brief. You can't just be free and do whatever you want. So these are that discipline you in some way or the other. It's possible. That it can happen.
Yeah, true.
So, and now we're moving on to another project that you've worked on. Again, it's not commercial work exactly, but there's an in-between between commercial and personal projects. There are other projects that we can undertake as creators, to sort of earn a little money, but also do something that we're interested in. And I think this to me speaks of something like that. This is called Project Denjong, where you were working on the digitization of the Sikkim Palace archives. So I know that Project Denjong is not functioning as of now, but what knowledge have you gained from undertaking such a mega task like this? You have, of course, been the photographer on this project, but yeah, what did you learn from it?
This project was actually like we didn't start with photographs. We started with the documents. Right. So at first, the project, the grant was got from British Library.
Right.
British Library, Arcadia, yeah, it was more from British Library.
Okay.
So the funding.
Okay.
So we had to the first project was to digitize and archive the documents related to Sikkim Palace.
Okay.
Before the merger, annexation, whatever you call. Yeah, so it was that, and there are so many things that like I learned from this project in terms of how important it is to digitize the documents, which in future, like especially in terms of like which paper, like in future this is not going to be there anymore. Right. Something might happen, you might lose it. So I think the digitizing the documents is very important part which I learned, and also the important things that were there in the documents. When you read through all the documents,
like this, a lot of, for instance,
there are a lot of things you can learn from it, and there are a lot of things you know about your history of Sikkim, history of a place. So many things you should learn. Like it was quite interesting this project, even though it was like monotonous because like you're doing the work in
but like
same position for a long time.
Yeah, see, so it's like this one, for instance, we can see that it's kind of it's a folder of documentation from the invitation to the installation of the new Dalai Lama back in 1939, where the king of Sikkim was invited, I guess, to Lhasa to attend the installation. So it's quite an incredible document if you think about how much history there is. So it's a way of preserving history in projects like this.
Yeah,
and that's what the importance is, because like you said, these things aren't going to last forever. But then, when you look back on it in 40 or 50 or 100 years, or even now when we're looking at it almost 90 or 80 years later, it's such an important document for us to look at. And all the, there are so many incredible things, one tiger skin, like, including the tail, nice coat.
Yeah. There's even the story of the Burmese princess and the king of Sikkim, the prince of Sikkim, the prince of Sikkim.
Right.
So there's a love, like a love story between them, and the letters exchanged. And some of the prince dies due to like a poisoning or something, some kind of I think it's that. But he passes away.
Right.
So those kind of stories are there, which are in the documents, which is like.
It's so interesting to
and and it's I think it's important for the youth of Sikkim to know that these kind of projects are there, and they should get
influence.
If they know about this, they'll learn something.
They can get inspired. They can get inspired to do their own projects or to work on these.
Because I feel like the story, the history of Sikkim, people don't know really. I mean, people don't really care, or they don't.
Right.
It's slowly been fading away. So it's very important initiative that has been taken.
And then once in a way, you can find a gem, like a gem of a picture like this, with and right in the middle you have the man. Apparently, he's responsible for all the problems of India today, even though he's been dead for almost for 50, 60 years. He's still responsible after his death of 50 years, of all the issues. But we won't get into all that right now and waste time. So, and also to see how an archive actually works. This is also an interesting photo for me and to show why documentation of a project like this is important, because other people can look and understand that, yes, ultimately, this is how documents need to be stored. You need a large chest of drawers. It's a practical thing.
Yeah.
How are you going to store all these documents without them getting damaged by the weather or any other thing?
And you can also see the numbering, Can you go back to the images? There's a lot of numbering in it.
Right.
So there's like cataloging, and like there's like you can't go like haywire. So like a lot of important things. There was a team to do all this,
and very organized, very organized, very the same.
We have to be that, or else like it'll be difficult. Even the folders that you see, right? It's like an acid free paper. So there's a different kind of paper which helps in preserving the documents. So a lot of things.
A lot of small things to learn, understand, and to be able to do. Another famous person, Vinod Khanna, trying his hand at skiing, doesn't look too comfortable. So it's kind of a funny picture. It reminds me of James Henry Latigue's old pictures from the turn of the 19th century, where he's shot a lot of people or photographed a lot of people doing strange things like this.
And that's a prince.
And the prince is with him, is it? In the middle, I guess.
Yeah. No,
on the left.
On the side, yeah.
Okay, sure. So quite interesting to see these old images. We're all, obviously, as photographers, we're very fascinated, by these kind of things. So tell me, Kunga, people often get pulled into the trap of changing their identity or their work for every new contest or grant or residency application. We've seen this, it's pretty common, so that they can match what the jury and the organization is looking for, or they think that the jury and organization is looking for this stuff. So we will change ourselves, we'll change our images a little bit, we'll change the order just to make sure that those people are happy. Why is this kind of an approach counterproductive to genuine progress for an artist or a photographer or whatever you want to
call it? I don't know if do they do that? I really don't know if they do that.
Yeah.
Because
or rather, my question would be, why is it important to be consistent and to just be yourself, no matter what you're applying for?
Yeah, I think it's very important to be yourself, and because for me, whatever the grant and even for the studies that I've applied till now,
right,
which I didn't get through, or there's a different question, but still now, whatever I've applied for it has always been me. It's not because of what they want. It's because the work that I shared is just me. I wanted to share, and whatever I've written, just me. I think it's important to be yourself rather than. And I think even the people who are sending your work to, I think they want to see you. I think rather than Yeah, I think they want to see you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to
Actually,
be
it's
yourself.
more common than you think, where people are trying to, be what they think they should be, and change it and say that no, you have to adapt to each new thing. But what you're saying is absolutely right. Being yourself is probably the most important thing you can do. Now,
Yeah.
moving on away from your specific work to more general questions about you as a person, and also about Sikkim as well. So, the opening, well, this is something that for me, it was something very personal, because I also was very upset about this. The opening of Mt.Kanchendzonga to climbing is yet another example of the state's limited understanding of the aspirations of the mountain communities of Sikkim. Why is this opening up such a terrible idea?
Yeah, it really makes me angry, yeah, when this thing kind of this kind of thing happen, like
Sure.
all the time. Worship. We all the people from Sikkim, we worship nature. Even not everyone, but still we regard Kanchenjunga as like our guardian deity for people
Right.
who mostly the Buddhist or Lepcha community regard Kanchenjunga as guardian deity, but even other communities,
Yes.
even if they don't worship, they still regard the mountain as the sole protector, till now.
Right.
That has been always the case, and when this news came out, it was like shocking, because I know that whatever the center makes certain kind of this kind of this kind of notification, or like projects, it always center based.
Yeah.
They don't have the idea of how Sikkim is, how Sikkim runs, or how the Northeast is.
Or what Sikkim wants also.
So yeah, so they don't have the idea. They don't want to speak to people. The all these things have been it's created in the center, the Delhi,
Right.
wherever those and it's past, and so this same thing happened with Kanchenjunga, and we were quite like angry with this, and we even started this campaign called Save Kanchenjunga.
Okay.
Instagram, and a lot of people started following. We did some petition and all this stuff.
Right.
So it got revoked, but for how long? How
Yeah.
long is gonna be protected? I'm not so sure, because even though a lot of travel agency, like like a lot of people was telling me, like, what's wrong in that?
Yeah.
People get income, people get economic benefits from it.
But that's not
But
everything in life.
no, that's not everything in life, and also there has to be a system in place. So you can't just open up the hidden land.
Right.
It's always, this is a hidden land. There's always, like, even the text, it's called Sikkim as a hidden land.
Right.
You can't just open up this hidden land, just like that. There has to be a system in place. You have to think about, like, if you do something like like start opening this range from climbing.
Right.
There's no system in place. Even from Mount Everest, there are people like the people who take there. There's a lot of system in place, but
Yeah.
still they are struggling with the environment hazards there, right? Even
Yeah.
after like a lot of systems are in place.
Yeah.
But in Sikkim, those systems are not there like right now. Even though if you go to trekking to Zongri,
Yeah.
it's very like it's not like systematic. Like people go there, people come back. It's not like a major like a
Organized
system that people follow, organized kind of people follow.
Right.
Yeah.
And you see the result, but even when it's organized, you see the result of that, like that famous picture that everyone has seen now of Mount Everest with the line of climbers there, like a traffic jam of climbers. And I'm sure you all don't want that to happen on your, on your.
No, we don't want that.
You know?
Yeah. People also need to see that, like Sikkim is already been totally been booming with tourism. We have been already I mean, environmental, whatever, that thing is there, but the amount of tourists that's coming to Sikkim, we have to question ourselves, will we be able to take it in?
Right.
I mean, thanks to lockdown, in a ways, tourism is declined. A lot of, the environment is getting back to it, all the stuff. But if this case was not there, like we had to really question this, like, can we take the amount of tourists that's increasing day by day coming to Sikkim? Will we be able to do that? It's not sustainable at all in future.
Yeah.
Just keep increasing. So that's also a question we need to
And I've been sharing, while you're talking about all this, I've been sharing images from another festival, Pang Lhabsol. And this is an honor, if I'm not wrong, it's in honor of Mt.Kanchendzonga. Could you tell us a bit about these images?
They're called Pangte warriors.
Okay.
Pangte Baz.
Okay.
So they are the armies of the. So there's a deity which resides in Kanchendzonga.
Okay.
Our faith says that.
Right.
So the deity is called Zenga. So these are the warriors of Zenga.
Oh, so they once
every year during Pang Lhabsol, So this dream was dreamt by, in the text it's written, what we know till now, what people say. This dance sequence was dreamt by a king.
Okay.
Like long time back, and he choreographed this dance.
Okay.
So and from then on, like the designs has been been carried out every year.
Right.
By the local youth, not by the monks, but the monks. Usually, the monks do the. This is the Zenga. This is the Kanchendzonga. It's a depiction of the Mount Kanchendzonga.
Okay.
The garden. This is the garden deity.
And not just some exotic mask. Which is what
the mountain deity of Kanchendzonga. So. Right. So this is like the monk wears it, and all the Pangte, the youth, they do the Pangte cham. Cham is called dance.
Okay.
So they do the dance around the. So this is one of the practice.
And then the final day.
So this is one they're practicing.
Okay. Sure. So it was
a traditional dress.
Yeah. Thank you for.
This is a final.
Thank you for sharing that with us, because we need to understand how complex and nuanced and subtle all these things are. They're not just some obvious thing that you think it is. It's always more to it than that. So it's always good to ask questions rather than assume stuff. So which brings me to my next question. Is it annoying when when people just think that, oh, Sikkim is all about organic food, because there's so much more to Sikkim, right? And the people there. But everyone, the rest of the country, they're like, oh, Sikkim, it's fully organic. And organic itself is a word that has its own problems.
Yeah.
I don't know. It must be quite.
People don't say natural anymore. It's like organic.
Yeah. So, Kunga, I've noticed a lot of you keep coming back to this theme of water, and how it's free flowing and untamed. Could you tell me a little bit about your philosophy of water?
Well, it's nothing. I mean, I get drawn to water actually. Like wherever I go, like even some place, like when I see water, I want to like sit there. I mean, I get attached. There's an attachment to water. But while growing up, also like I had a fear with water.
Okay.
Like I didn't know. Whenever I go to a swimming pool, like when I was swimming in the sea, like the water, I used to like. There was a fear in me.
Right.
But while growing up. There's generally it's like you feel calm sitting near a water body or river. So I feel there's an attachment. I get an attachment to.
And that also translates. And that also translates into your work from time to time, I guess. Okay. So could you tell me how you trust your inner voice and have the faith to follow it, even when others don't understand?
I don't know. I mean, there are times like there were times when I felt giving up on photography because it was not working out. Honestly speaking, because while starting to do this, my parents were not keen on me doing photography, and I just came back home, not completing my studies.
Okay.
And I, tried like I'm doing photography now, and all. So they didn't really agree to me doing pursuing that. But still, I don't know. I mean, it's just how do I say it? Like it's just the urge that came into me, and didn't let me stop. But there were times, honestly speaking, there were times I felt like maybe I should do something else. because financially it's not good for me. So
or
I thought of
anybody,
it.
unless you're sitting in the West, it's not good for you.
Yeah, always. Or if your parent has like a lot of property
of
or
course.
money,
Yeah, of course.
which is not the case for me. So I really thought about it, but after so many years of struggling, fighting with your parents, and fighting for yourself, like your all mental thing, mental stress. And I decided, like after coming from a long way, I think I shouldn't just back off.
Right.
I think it'll just be like another like one of the incomplete stories that you haven't finished it yet.
Yeah, that's an
So
interesting.
You can't leave it incomplete.
An unfinished lifetime project.
Yeah. There are like I think a lot of people has that unfinished series of work stories. So even I have. So
yeah,
like that.
join the club. Yes.
Yeah, again. So I didn't want it to be like that. So
thankfully,
thankfully I'm here.
and you've continued.
Thankfully I'm here, and
what would you do?
I'm here, and
if you couldn't do photography, what would you do?
I don't know. I'd be just useless sitting at my home, watching Netflix, and going to some office. I guess, like wasting my time, like looking at Facebook, which I'm still doing right now in the lockdown.
But not so much. In between, you take a break and do your photos also.
Yeah.
No. But jokes apart.
But seriously, I don't know like what I'm gonna do. Yeah, because photography has given me a new life. I mean, you can say that. I can say that.
Yeah.
Because before photography, I was kind of a useless guy. Yeah? Like seriously, I mean, not useless, but I didn't know much. I didn't know how the world worked. There are a lot of things like I didn't care about. But when photography came to me, I started questioning things. A lot of things that I like really felt for it. I should speak for it.
Right.
So now I think this the whole urge of questioning came like with photography, and I think I grew. I grew as a person
because of
like positively. I grew a lot as a person to photography. Yeah.
So it's helped you understand yourself and the world, and also where you want to use it and how you want to go forward.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful
I got to
thing.
know a lot for myself. Yeah. Got to know a lot about myself to photography. That I can say that.
That's a wonderful thing. So, what brings you joy and satisfaction? We've come to the last question of this long interview. What brings you joy and satisfaction? I've noticed that you also do a music series called Outdoor Jam. Does music bring you joy, or photography, of course? What else brings you joy?
Yeah, there's one of the project that me and one of my he's like a senior to me, but we do it together. Right. So we do make videos for local artists, but only if they have original song. Okay. Because we try to do that because a lot of people were only singing covers in Sikkim. Correct. And, even in Northeast, we go to Nagaland and Mizoram and a lot of places. People are coming up with albums, original songs. Music scene is growing. But he's a musician. My friend is a musician. Okay. So he felt like this is lacking in Sikkim, so we should promote, make the videos, and do that. It was just started off with like random stuff, but we are now trying to make good use of it and and make more, record more songs. Okay. Yeah, and music. Yeah, it's one of the things that gives me joy. I think that's there, and I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what gives me joy. I really don't know.
You know what? Okay, what brings you
peace? Solitude, I guess. If I'm I think I need to be time to time alone with myself sometimes. And if I stay too long with like people around me, I think it becomes a bit difficult for me. So it's something I like to do time to time. Just be with myself. I think that's gives me peace. Yeah.
So with that, we come to the end of my question list for this episode of Insight. Kunga, thank you so much. If you have any other message you'd like to share with us, this is the time to do it. You have a free thing to say anything you feel like right now.
Yeah.
If you have
no messages, yeah.
No,
I just need to. I mean, thanks for this conversation. Like it was really nice talking. In the screen, which I made not really used to it. So
same here. I much prefer talking.
It's like,
but maybe one day we will meet in person. I'm planning to meet all the people I've interviewed in person one day to have a real conversation with them. Not to record it, just to talk. So hopefully that will be the next step. But it was wonderful having you on. Thank you so much for sharing so freely and generously about all your work, how you approach it, your processes, and all the various projects you're working on, whether they are long form, short form, or something in between, or current, like the COVID project you're working on. It's been very enlightening for me, and I'm sure for all the watchers out there. They're going to learn a lot from you, and I really hope that in the years to come, the Northeast of India becomes one of the strongest regions in India for creators, for artists, for photographers, because I know that the people there have beautiful minds and beautiful ways to express themselves. And I, for one, am waiting to see that. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening. And for the rest of you guys, if you'd like to check out Kunga's work, you can see right now his website and Instagram are going to come up on the screen. And you can check them out, kungatashi.com, and also, of course, Kunga Tashi on Instagram. My website and this interview, of course, will be on my website, adivarekar.in/insight. That's coming up too, so go and check that out. I will also be putting these up on Instagram and linking them on Facebook. So you have a wide range of ways to check out these interviews. I hope you will. And thank you so much for tuning in to Insight, which is, of course, like I've said many times before, a collaborative interview series and a free online knowledge resource. Do stay safe out there, take care, and be kind to those around you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Goodbye.
Thank you so much.